Good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar. Today, we are being joined by 4 members: the GetGo Inc., Black & McDonald, Blackberry, and IBI Group, who each will share their new initiatives, products, or services to aid the industry in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Each company will be given 10 minutes, followed by a 5-minute Q&A. For those who are in attendance, if you have any questions, please feel free to submit your question in the question pane, and then after each presentation, I will be sharing the questions with the respective presenters. Also, I probably should have introduced myself first. My name is Janneke, and I am the Managing Director of ITS Canada, and I welcome you all to today's call. Our first presenter is Alex Godfrey. Alex is the Western Region Sales Manager with the GGI Road and Traffic, residing out of Calgary, Alberta. Alex has a technical background and for years has been providing sales and product support for many customers across Canada. Proudly representing ITER's roadway sensors, Luft Weather Station Technologies. GGI is the Siemens Mobility distributor in Western Canada. Alex, I am going to make you the presenter.
Ready to go. Awesome. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everybody. My name is Alex Godfrey with GGI Road and Traffic, and thank you, ITS Canada, for allowing GGI and myself to present today. So I thought I would start off with a quick introduction of GGI and also ITERIS. GGI has been in the traffic industry for 15 plus years, providing solutions to municipalities across Canada, and we are currently the only Canadian distributor for the ITERIS product line. A little bit about ITERIS. ITERIS has been providing solutions to the traffic industry for 20 plus years and is a leader in the above ground detection. They are based out of Santa Ana, California, with multiple qualified staff across North America. Oh, there we go. So with the pandemic currently, I thought I would show this. So ITERIS has a data platform that grabs raw data from the ITERIS systems and presents it in a usable manner. This slide shows the impact of traffic before and during COVID-19 with quite a change in vehicle volumes. So as you can see on the left, your typical vehicle volumes, your AM peak was around 3,800, your midday peak was 4,300 and so forth, where in mid-May, those volumes almost cut down in half. Due to a lot of vehicles just not being on the roads. This is data that you're able to grab from our systems, able to view it from your office, and able to share with your colleagues. So the sensor I'll be talking about today is called the Vantage Radius, where it's basically a radar sensor for your stop bar detection with a video camera for intersection monitoring. This slide here just shows how the sensor looks. It has a shroud over the radar so it can perform at its best in the worst weather Canada has to offer. The other 2 pieces are in the in-cabinet units, which I'll be going over later. Some key points about the Vantage Radius I wanted to bring up during this webinar. With our sensor, it's very easy to install and it's virtually maintenance-free. It uses a Cat5 cable with a 1,000-foot range without a need an extender. It's very easy to pull and terminate. You're also able to grab real-time video surveillance from the camera image that you see there, the little camera there. And it's very accurate stop bar detection, 99% accurate in all weather conditions. And also high-res data, because nowadays it seems like data is getting more and more popular. So this sensor, we're able to grab speed and count data, which is included with the system, and you're able to bring that back to your office with the appropriate communications. So with our sensor, we are a forward-firing radar sensor. Doing this, we have a greater range of detection, which spits us out around 325 feet compared to a side fire. We have little to no occlusion being forward fire as well, and with the camera there, we have the ideal camera view. This also allows for very accurate detection, lane-specific detection, and deep field of view. Just a quick slide here showing why it's so important that we are forward facing. Other products you might be side fire, where this one we are head on, so there aren't any false calls. So in doing so, our accuracy in detection is extremely high. This slide here, I'm basically just showing the image, the video surveillance we're able to grab from this system, which is really nice to bring back to your TMC to be able to view from your office. It's very good for intersection monitoring and so forth. With the radar sensor itself, has a built-on shroud, as I mentioned, for inclement weathers that Canada has to offer, 5 lanes detection, 32 detection zones, and up to 64 outputs. And the streaming video is a simple RTSP feed. And I'm also showing there's actually a mobile app that you can actually pull up the video feed onto your cellular device if you wanted to. So with a different style of cabinets out there, Iteris has kind of addressed both of them. So we have a 332 style cabinet, which we actually have a rack mount unit that bolts right in. And we also have a shelf mount unit for NEMA style cabinets, as you can see on the right and the left. So either we can go through a detector rack or through SDLC, depending on the cabinet and which the municipality wants to do. When it comes to our setup tool, it's extremely easy to program. It's extremely user-friendly and easy to set up. You can either use a mouse and monitor with HDMI cable at the intersection or even a laptop with an Ethernet cable. The system even has a Wi-Fi capabilities, so you can work on the system from your vehicle nearby during those colder days, which I know in Canada we experience quite a bit. You're showing how the setup tool looks with a little bit of detection on the side, so I'll just play this video here for you. So as you can see, we're picking up the vehicle speeds and we're detecting them in those zones. And on the right, we actually have VLC pulled up. So we're actually using the VLC, the video streaming, for detection verification to make sure that everything we're seeing with the camera, we're picking up with the radar. So that's also a big differentiator between us and other radar products. I believe we are the only one with a camera built into the actual system. And as mentioned before, a lot of the data you're able to collect. So in terms of usability, a lot of before and after studies, as I mentioned in the first couple of slides, the traffic volume had decreased significantly because of COVID, and using these sorts of technologies and data platforms, you're able to see that visually. And if you've used Iteris in the past or even other radar products, picking up this sort of setup tool is extremely easy, extremely straightforward, and would take no time. And just a summary, the Vantage Radius has a significant operational difference and improvements than other radar vendors. There are many value-added benefits included in the Vantage Radius. The live streaming portion is a huge benefit, as a lot of municipalities might have to add a PTZ on top of their traffic, on top of their intersection, on top of the detection equipment itself. So it's an additional cost where with this system it's already built in, and you get to save that money for somewhere else. I know I only had 10 minutes, so hopefully I got 9 minutes. That's good. Again, my name's Alex Godfrey. I'm based out of Calgary, Alberta. Our GGI's #1 priority is customer service. So we'll be there whenever you need us, even after the installation. I guess I'll hand it off to you, Yannicka.
Thank you very much. And by the way, on my phone, you still have 2 minutes left. So okay. Thank you very much, Alex. No I've got a couple of questions here. Yep. Who owns the data that is being stored?
The municipality does. So
municipality does.
Okay. So there's 2 ways of storing the data. So the equipment itself stores the data on site, where you basically will get raw data. So that data is 100% owned by the municipality. And then the Vantage Live, which is that data platform, is basically a subscription service, which we will reside on the municipality's network.
Okay. And in your earlier slide, you talked about the results can be shared with the office. Those results, I think it had to do with the traffic patterns before COVID and now during the COVID pandemic. Those results, can they be accessed remotely from through teleworking? Now that most of us are teleworking, can that access through your laptop or through your mobile phone if you are away from the office?
Yep, 100%. So as long as you have any sort of communications in the cabinet, which I think typically nowadays everybody's focusing on more communications. So if you have a cell modem, wireless broadband radios, or even fiber, you're able to bring that data from the intersection to your home.
Okay, thank you. And then my third and last question is, if something goes wrong and somebody needs to attend to the cabinet to take a look at one of the Iteris units, what are some of the social distancing practices that you've put in place to make sure your technicians or your colleagues are safe?
Yep. So there's a couple of ways. So with the system, you can actually access it from your house as well. So if there are any issues, you're able to troubleshoot it from your home office without even having to go on site. But in terms of being on site, 6 feet apart, wearing gloves, masks, and also with that Wi-Fi capability, technically, if one person were to go out on site, he wouldn't even have to leave the truck. He'd be able to access the system from his vehicle.
Good. Thank you very much.
No problem at all, and thank you for the opportunity to do this.
You're most welcome. Next is Afra. As a PMP and electronic engineer, Afra has over 14 years of experience in the ITS field services and the ITS field, serves as ITS department manager for McDonald, overseeing all ITS projects across Canada. Joining Black & McDonald in 2014, Afra has developed a keen understanding of construction manager, project management, and business development of ITS projects. With respect to ITS systems, Afra has been involved with several P3 and major projects incorporating new ITS technologies and systems. This includes traffic central systems and ATMS, toll system, dynamic message signs, intersection management, speed enforcement, and adaptive systems. And I'm going to make Afra the presenter. Afra, I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello, Yannicka?
Yes.
Hey, sorry, I think I showed up as Afra in the invite as well, so I'm going to disconnect, and you can switch it to Afra.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's try that again. I have Afra connected as 3 times, so let's try this. Afra? Sometimes gotta love technology. Afra, I can't, you are self-muted. Can you unmute yourself, please? Okay. Geoffrey?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can.
Yeah, I couldn't unmute. Something was wrong. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, I have given you permission to present, so you need to probably either accept or show your presentation.
So it doesn't. Sorry, Yannicka, I can't see any message that's allowing to share my screen.
Okay, let me try this again. Okay, I'm gonna do it back to me. And let's give it one more try. Make Afra the presenter.
Yeah.
You see it now? Good.
Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Thanks, Annika and ITS Canada, to give me this opportunity to present Black & McDonald and a smart microwave sensor, our partner for detection technology. My presentation includes two parts. The first part is going to be about Black & McDonald and how we address the COVID-19 situation, and the second part is going to be focusing on the smart micro sensor, our partner for detection, and how we can address the new requirements for the pandemic situation.
Afra,
Yes.
we can see two screens, your slide notes. Can you go to display settings at the top of your screen?
Yep.
Yeah. And then only say presenter view, the top one. Yep. Click on that one. There you go.
Okay,
Perfect.
Sorry for that. So just a quick introduction of Black & McDonald, who we are, what we do. As you can see, we call ourselves single source utility service provider, and the reason why is that if you have any inquiry on the utility side, we are capable to address that. Quick introduction of Black & McDonald, who we are. The company is founded in 1921, established by Mr. Black and Mr. McDonald back in 1921, and eventually Mr. McDonald bought the share from Mr. Black back in his 40s. And since then, we are running on the McDonald family's privately owned Canadian company. What we're doing, we're providing the electrical, mechanical, utility, and maintenance services. Under my group, we are mostly dealing with the traffic signal, street lighting, maintenance services. Despite the size of the projects, we're providing innovative and cost-effective solution. It's not a matter of size of the job. We're committed to provide the cost-effective solution to our clients. The location of the company, we have 28 offices across Canada from East Coast to West Coast, 8 offices in the United States and 1 in Bermuda. The number of employees that we have right now is around 6,000 employees. But what I'm doing, I'm a ITS department manager for Black & McDonald. Our mission is to providing the turnkey solution for the ITS application. That includes the design, installation, integration, maintenance, and emergency services as well. And because of that, we have a very productive partnership with the engineering firms and also with the product manufacturer in ITS applications. Followed under ITS department, what we're providing is the services we're providing on the ITS is going to be Advanced Traffic Management System, ATMS, Adaptive Traffic Control System, Intersection and Highway Management, which I'm looking to that shortly, any type of application, red light or speed enforcement, high mast, street lighting, upgrades and maintenance, traffic signal installation and maintenance, any type of lighting, decorative lighting, any type of message sign, portable and fixed, loop detection, as well as airfield lighting, navigation, and landing aids. Black & McDonald is the major electrical contractor for Pearson Airport. And also we are providing emergency services. And the my group is more focusing on the intersection and street lighting. But how we address the COVID-19 situation within Black & McDonald? As part of the requirements for Black & McDonald, it's mandatory to have the project safety plan in place before you mobilize to the site. And part of the project safety plan is risk assessment. So because of the COVID-19 and the pandemic situation, we updated our project safety plan and we did the risk assessment on the job basis. We also have the very detailed hygiene protocols in the company, and all the field guys and office staff need to follow that hygiene protocols. We also have the rotation program, so 50% of the office staff working from home, and we're trying to minimize the human interaction in the office. We also trying to keep the maintaining the 2 meter distance at the workplace by posting the posting the signs in the office, on the washroom, meeting rooms, and as well as on the job site and the trailer. All these requirements is based on 5 principles: respect for people, including employees or clients, employee safety and awareness. Safety is our top priority, include our employees and our clients. We also develop the business continuity plan. This is one of the major requirements for our clients, that we have to ensure them that we're going to continue to provide our services as before. And as I said, the hygiene protocol, and make sure that we keep the social distancing. The second part, which is more focusing on the ITS application, the Smart Micro is our partner for the detection technology for intersection and highway management. And I'm going to look into the Smart Micro and how we can address the requirements for COVID-19 by using a Smart Micro. As I mentioned, like a social distancing is the top priority to deal with the pandemic situation, minimizing the human interaction and keep the people apart, minimize the contact and mingling. As part of the protection plan, wearing masks, and we may come up with the new norms, such as no more clustering in all the cabinets. But how we can address these new requirements with the Smart Micro? Two unique features with the Smart Micro system. We have the feature of pre-configure the radar, and we also have the feature to have a remote access to the sensor. So for the first, I'm going to look into the pre-configuration and the features it provided. What does it mean when we assign the pre-configuration? It means that we can deliver the radar and with the configuration set up on the radar. It means that we can configure the radar from workshop, from home or garage, and away from the people, isolated from the people. We can take our time, and in the self-dependency, we can spend enough time to pre-configure radar before shipping to the clients. Also, as long as you have a coordinates of the radar placement, such as intersection on highway, I can upload the Google Maps on the radar. I can enable the feature on the Google Map with satellite view, so I can check the existing infrastructure such as pole, arms, and I can place the radar on the poles and see how the detection zones looks like, and I can manage that when I configure the radar. It means that 95% of the configuration is going to happen in the field, in the office or at home, and you can download that information on the USB or send it by email to your technician, and technician can just upload that data when they are do the final configuration on site. The other technology, like a video detection, usually is the time consuming to configure the radar, and you need to spend more time to make sure the positioning is right and your detection zone is correct. That's the same thing for the other radar competitors. They may have the auto configuration feature, but you still need to install the connect the power, and you need to spend more time to configure radar when you proceed with the installation at the intersection, which means that more risk to our employees, to our staff when they are working at the intersection or the highway. This is the snapshot of the software. So as you can see, as long as I have the coordinate of that intersection on a highway, I can upload that on the satellite view. I can check the infrastructure, like a poles or mast arm. I can change the placement of the radar on the pole and the mast arm and see how the detection zones look like. If it works, then I can save it and download it. If it doesn't work, I can change the location of the sensor and see and change the detection zones. Different feature, you can select the different type of radars based on the range that you require at the intersection, and see how it looks like. Remote access, another feature for the radar. As long as you have the communication infrastructure at the cabinet or the highway, once the power is hooked up to the radar is ready to function. By having a laptop, you can do the configuration remotely from your home or from office. You don't need to have the very specific skills in order to install the radar, as long as you have a remote access and you can do the pre-configuration. Any electrician with enough knowledge, they can install the radar. You also remote support using a standard off-the-shelf software. Software is not complicated, it's very user-friendly. Also, by having remote access, you can adjust your radar beams, zone triggers, adjusting your outputs, fine-tuning, and as long as you can run the team viewer, is a very simple software on your laptop. You can communicate with your technician on site and just make sure everything is done correctly. You can also do the troubleshooting, uploading the firmware if there's any new firmware needs to be uploaded on the radar. or downloading diagnostic of a radar and troubleshooting. Based on our experience and as well market experience, only in an extreme situation, you may need to have Black & McDonald technician be on site to help the installation team to make sure radar is configured properly. And that was my presentation. Any question? I'm more than happy to answer that.
Thank you, Afra. I'm just going to see if there's any questions. So I have a few questions. I guess that the data is being gathered, and I was just wondering, where does that data being gathered by those radar sensors stored?
The data gathered on, it depends on the application. They gathered on the interface module in the cabinet, or if you have the communication infrastructure, you can transmit the data to your ATMS platform.
Okay, so if it's in the cabinet, who owns that data? Is that the municipality or is that Smart Micro?
No, it's going to be municipality. They have the fully owned data from the intersection.
Okay, and those radar beams or sensors, do they function under all sorts of weather conditions, or does it not work when it's like, let's say, minus 25 in Canada, for example, certain regions, or is it has nothing to do with any weather conditions? It'll work all the time.
No, it's not. It's a microwave technology, so it's not sensitive to the temperature. It's not sensitive to the snow or rain, and the product is certified for minus 40 to plus 40.
And that's Celsius, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Those were the questions that I had. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I'm glad that it ended up working in the end.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we are making myself the presenter again. Sorry. Show my screen. And next up is Geoffrey. Currently Senior Director, Government Affairs and Public Policy at Blackberry, Geoff Davis oversees the company's smart transportation initiatives, working to grow the number of active pilots we're involved in and representing the organization from an advocacy standpoint in industry groups such as ITS America, Partners for Automated Vehicle Education, Erdico, and the Automotive Information Sharing and Analysis Center, and in directing Blackberry's development in smart transportation. Geoff previously served as Senior Vice President at ITS America, the nation's largest, meaning the United States' largest organization dedicated to advancing the research, development, and deployment of ITS. For the past 4 years, Geoff has focused solely on smart transportation, including the implementation of cybersecurity practices, integration of connected and autonomous vehicles, and business cases around mobility as a service. And Geoff, I am making you the presenter. Thank you.
Thank you, Yannicka. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Thanks for asking.
That is good. Okay, we'll get this, let me go ahead and get this started. This should be a fairly short brief. So yeah, as Yannicka said, I'm Geoff Davis. I'm the Senior Director for Government Relations and Public Policy at Blackberry. Recently moving over from heading up their Smart Transportations Initiative, which makes me year by year, I seem to, whatever new challenge we have at Blackberry is what I jump onto. Not included in there is why I would be talking to you about cybersecurity. So previously, before I started to get into transportation, I spent about 26 years working in the defense industry in the United States. 21 of that as a U.S. Marine officer. So I've had an extensive security background, and a little bit of what I want to talk to you is why Blackberry is actually talking to you about security. And I know most people know us as a good, solid Canadian company that made the very first smartphone out there. What a lot of people don't know is how much we've matured since the smartphone. We don't make the smartphones anymore, obviously. You can still buy them through a licensed developer. However, what Blackberry is actually focused on at this point is securing endpoints, and for the most part, securing endpoints across the IoT. But that includes everything from the back office enterprise all the way out to the roadway and all the way out into space as it sits right now. Between our operating system QNX and our endpoint, our managed endpoint security, what you'll find is Blackberry is in 150 million cars, covering over 500 million endpoints worldwide. And we are covering some of the biggest customers. In fact, customers that are looking for the most cybersecurity or cyber secure environments that they can find. So everything from your biggest banks to 7 of the G7 governments to 10 out of 10 of the top OEMs. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about the complex challenges that actually come with cybersecurity. And I'm going to go ahead and go through this so that we can get them out there quick. So since COVID-19 has started, what we've seen is, and I know a lot of people have talked about this in a lot of different technology realms, is we've seen COVID-19 as an amplifier. Or an accelerator. It's accelerated development of technology and technologies and trends that we're already starting to see. Cybersecurity is no different than any of the rest of those, and it goes along with, as we become more dependent on these new technologies and these new connectivities, what we see more and more insecurity starting to happen. And where and how that's happening is what I'll talk about here. You're watching speed of innovation. I mean, in the last two presentations, and great presentations and great products that they were talking about, there was a lot of discussion about remote access into those products. Anytime you start talking about adding connectivity, you start talking about expanding attack surfaces. And that doesn't just go into what's happening in the system, that goes into your work from home surfaces. That goes into bringing your own devices to work. All of these things become new attack vectors, and as you increase that surface, you increase the ability to be attacked. The vulnerabilities themselves are starting to grow. What we're starting to see across the board is not just the fact that you've got more surfaces to be attacked, but what can be attacked and what's accessible is starting to grow. So things that before may have been off the grid or may have been difficult to access via electronic means are becoming easier and easier to get to. Some of the other things that we're starting to see that really add to this tension is the geopolitical tensions that are starting to happen, and we're seeing them play out definitely between the US and China right now, but across the board, whether it's European nations, Canada, United States, we're seeing corporate espionage come from particular countries at a rate that we've never seen before, and especially since the start of COVID. We have seen a 10-time increase in malware attacks since COVID has started, and a lot of them directed towards research and development. Some of that is because more and more firms and more groups are doing so many virtual things that it makes them an easier target. Some of it is directly related to COVID. The intelligence reports that are coming out on the number of attacks that we're seeing on research facilities themselves that are working directly with a COVID medications or inoculations. The other thing that we're really starting to see, and it's growing again and again, is ransomware, and that should be a concern to just about everybody on the phone. If you have data and data has any concern to you whatsoever, then you have the ability to be a victim of ransomware. And that's just a simple attack onto your system that can come from just about any vector and essentially hijacks your files. And as it hijacks your files, it then tells you that you have to contact a particular number, or you have to contact a particular website and pay, usually in Bitcoin, to have your files released without them being corrupted. This has gone from being an extremely difficult and technology-focused effort to something that is very easy to accomplish. You're starting to see scripts that are actually available on the dark web, where people who are not necessarily technologically savvy can go ahead, pay to have those scripts copied to their computer, and then send them across to their targets. The other thing that we're seeing is reliability in systems, hardware, and networks that's out there. Depending on where you live in the world, the availability that the manufacturer of a particular chip or of a particular system may have a backdoor to your data is a very, very real threat. And we're seeing exponential attackers and exponential attack types. So we talked about the ransomware, but what we're starting to see is that as the technology to conduct attacks gets easier, you're seeing more and more attackers. And as you see more and more rich targets that start to develop, you're starting to see more and more attacks come from more sophisticated sources. So what keeps insecurity growing? If you think about it, if you think of insecurity like a plant that's growing out of some really good soil, there's some key things that really keep it going. That's a lack of knowledge. That's an inability to cover the cost, and that's actually the fear of dealing with it in general. And I'll tackle each one of those separately. So this is really what you look at when you look at nascent industries, so industries that are new to cybersecurity or dealing with a cyber risk. And I think that this is very pertinent to the transportation industry. So if you look at the knowledge side of it, the access to security professionals and the availability of security professionals really starts to become a revolving door with a lack of industry signal. The problem hasn't existed for very long in transportation, hasn't really been a problem in transportation for a long time. So what you start to see is you don't really understand where all the challenges are. And then that in turn does not drive money, which does not drive a signal out to the security industry that you really need the services. And so you end up with this lack of people telling you that there's a challenge or a problem. And because of that, you send out less and less of a signal. And this has not only happened to the transportation industry. This has happened across many industries. It's happened in banking at first. It happened in defense, who was the first industry to really kind of tackle cybersecurity as a whole. It happened in energy. But it happens in each one of these industries as it's first starting. And we're starting to see some movement here, but it's not happening fast enough for the acceleration that's happened because of COVID. The other problem with knowledge is that trying to fit cybersecurity into the current culture that exists, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but the prevailing safety culture that exists within transportation, which has created so many excellent changes within the transportation community itself and saved so many lives year over year, becomes a challenge when you're dealing with security, because unlike safety, there is no deterministic way to look at security. Every time you build something, somebody else is actively trying to break it. So it's not something that ever sits static. It never changes. You can never develop to a point with it. You have to continuously develop and change as the environment changes. The costs are extremely high for cybersecurity as it sits right now. And one of the things that we're doing as an industry is trying to figure out how do we actually reduce those costs? How do we use technology? And I'll get into that on the next slide to really try to reduce some of those costs and where you can look and what are some of the things you want to look for technology-wise as you do that. But to give you an idea of where this fits with current cost models, I think the best way to talk about that is in a really quick anecdote. I live in Washington, D.C. When I was getting my master's degree, there's quite a few people within the security industry or the cybersecurity industry that were getting their master's degree with me. That was, I want to say 7 years ago at this point. 7 years ago, when we were all getting our degrees together, those cybersecurity individuals were working at mid-level jobs in the government. Within 3 years of receiving their master's degree, they were at high-level jobs within the government, either at a senior executive level service or at what was called a GS-15 service, which is about the military rank of a colonel or an 06. And from there, they ended up going to work for banks. Most of them now are making money that ranks somewhere in, I'd say anywhere from 700,000 US to $1 million US as a base salary, as a CISO working for a bank. That gives you the idea of the type of talent you're fighting for when you're trying to get cybersecurity talent to come in there. Now, not everybody needs that level of talent, but it gives you an idea of what that field looks like. A very expensive field when you put it in comparison to the majority of the engineers that are going to fit into your current cost models. And the last one is fear. People look at the cost, they look at the challenge, they look at the fact that there's no way to solve the problem. And so what they look at is security by obscurity. Nobody's gotten us yet. Nobody's really come after us. So maybe we're okay. Maybe we've got just enough. And that model only works for so long. It basically works until you've got something that somebody really smart wants. And once you have that, that's when the real threat really starts to pick up.
Yes,
So,
you've got 1 minute left.
Okay, and that's all I need. So basically, what are we looking at here, and what do you want to look at when you start looking for a cybersecurity solution? And that's what I put out here. I didn't really come out here to sell Blackberry because what Blackberry has may not be right for your enterprise. So, you know, I'd encourage you to look at what we have, but for the most part, I really wanted to give you guys an idea of what you want to do. And number one thing to start with is user experience. Who's using that, why they're using it, and does it help them do their job? Creating a great amount of security without providing usability means that you're going to get security workarounds, and security workarounds just leave you in an insecure environment right back where you started. Something that offers continuous authentication, and if you look way over to the right side there, something that offers a zero trust environment. Zero trust means that every time a piece of data moves from one system to another system, it is being authenticated. It's never trusted at any point in the series, and something that is actually being tested at the endpoints themselves. So from endpoint to endpoint, you're finding out if there's a virus in there, and in there the data or the technology that you can look towards to find those types of things. Unified endpoint management system. A unified endpoint management system simply means that your administrator, it cuts down the number of people you need working on security, because your administrator from a single point can go ahead and manage all of your endpoints, what the permissions are, who's doing what and where, and it creates kind of a walled garden. The other idea is a secure cloud. If you're not going to use one of the major clouds, like you're not going to use AWS or you're not going to use Azure, then what you really want to look towards is somebody who has FedRAMP. And the reason why I throw FedRAMP out there is because it is an extremely complex process for a cloud provider to get through. And if they have that, that means that they are a secure enough provider for the federal government of the United States, which is kind of a litmus test for where you want to be. Device-specific authentication.
I hate to cut you off.
Okay.
Can you finish up maybe in 30 seconds because we have one more presentation to go.
Sure can. And the last thing is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Using artificial intelligence, machine learning as a piece of cybersecurity basically gives you an advantage from where we are right now over the attacker. So it allows you, instead of looking for a signature world where there already has to be a virus in place to find it, it looks at how systems are interacting with each other, and basically is then able to determine by the behavior of a particular package whether or not it's a virus or not. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you
Sorry
very
for going
much.
over.
No, that's, and I'm sorry I had to do that, but I just want to make sure that the other two presenters from IBI Group have equal opportunity. And so this was very informative. There is a lot of questions that each of us as individuals, but also as companies, even though I work for a not-for-profit, can ask ourselves, are we ready? Are we prepared if we were to be attacked? So after today's webinar, we will be recording, the webinar recording will be up on the RTS Canada website tomorrow. And of each of the presenters, I will be including their contact information. 10 minutes only can give you just a tiny little bit of a snapshot on everything that was presented, even in the case of Blackberry as well. So Geoff, you will see, I'm glad to be sharing your name as well as of the other presenters with the attendees today and with the RTS Canada membership. So if they have any questions for any of the presenters, our membership and non-members can do so. Thank you again. Next, we actually have two presenters, so I'm going to be really short with the bio. Geoff Carter is a director at IBI Group and is the firm's senior practice lead of TIS. It should be ITS. He has held over 19 years of ITS software planning, specification, design, development, deployment, and operations experience. I'm going to go down to the bottom. Geoff has worked in several operations centers, collaborating with operations staff on the usability and design of IBI Group's traffic management system, and has intimate knowledge related to the operations of these systems and how staff interact with them. And the presentations will be available on the website, and then you can read through Geoff's complete resume. And then next, Larry. Larry has extensive software and systems engineering experience in effectively managing and designing voice, web, and mobile services for numerous projects. Larry has built upon 20+ years of experience in speech recognition and web application design to a career that includes extensive project and program management. He's a visionary in multimodal design and the inventor or co-inventor on multiple user experience design patents. Larry manages all IVR and communications engine deployments for IBI Group. And I know that is not all. I will probably make Geoff the first presenter, and then when Geoff let me know we want to make Larry the presenter, I will do so.
Hi, Annika. Could you please make Larry the first presenter? Sorry about that.
I
Must
sure
have been a miscommunication there.
Yep. Larry, there you go.
All right. Yeah, perfect. All right, great. So thank you for having us, and we do appreciate very much the opportunity to walk through some of the things we've been doing in support of our clients for COVID-19 changes, challenges, and ongoing management challenges that we're helping solve. So I just want to do a super quick introduction of who IBI is. IBI stands for Intelligence Buildings and Infrastructure. Out of our intelligence organization, and we were a relatively good-sized company, 2,600 something folks, 60 offices across the world, around the world. And out of our intelligence practice, we've been delivering traveler information systems for going on 15 something years or maybe longer. And we've got over a dozen states, counties, and and countries actually here. We've been delivering and managing traveler information systems. And so as we've done that over these years, we've grown to sort of understand that, as you know, as people say, the only constant is change. So the world is constantly changing. We've seen a very large disruption in the last few months. Something that if you mentioned this in January or February, I don't think a lot of people would have believed us at how enormous the disruption in this pandemic has been, and the world changes. And so agencies, cities, municipalities, provinces, states, they need tools to be able to deliver information as quickly and easily as they possibly can, tools that are adaptable and agile and easy to use. Our Travel IQ system, Travel IQ product really allows agencies the opportunity to manage that information and deliver that information quickly and efficiently, being able to help support things that help support their travelers and their constituents in times of real change. And some of the examples that we've done recently using our Travel IQ product is, for example, New York 511, when they realized that traffic volume had gone down considerably. They really realized there's a shift from the typical request about congestion and travel conditions to things more like, what are the restrictions around travel? What are the border closure restrictions? And how do people find out about and get informed about these things real quickly and straightforward, in a straightforward way? And so the New York State Department of Transportation utilized our traveler information system, or Travel IQ system, to be able to post alerts and be able to show things like truck restrictions and rest areas. That was and they were able to do that immediately using the products they already had. So it's a thing that's available to our clients, and they can manage that content as they see fit in ways that are quick and easy. That also was something that Ontario 511, the Ministry of Transportation in Ontario, realized that truckers really needed new information here now during this time that maybe wasn't quite as important before. There's some essential touch points along the routes that the truckers need to know. They're delivering essential goods, and they need a way to deliver that information to them. With the 511 Ontario mobile application, there's truckers can get hands-free audio notifications, so they don't have to mess around with their phone. They can immediately deliver information about events along the way, or rest area openings and closings, truck inspection stations, roundabouts, all of those things that are important to truck drivers that they maybe didn't have, or they didn't up until now, have a single source where they could be confirmed, verified, and assured that it's actual information from the agency. Another thing most recently is we've been awarded a partnership with Innovate UK to manage the status of the COVID test centers. Send notifications to end users based on the subscription models subscription that they might sign up for. And then, so along the way as well, as cities and provinces reopen, Travel IQ we can envision it, and we know that it's going to be used to deliver agency-verified traffic and roadway information immediately. Because as cities and provinces reopen, there's going to be challenges, and so keeping informed and keeping connected is a critical point. So I'm just going to go real quickly over what Travel IQ is, and then I'm going to turn it over to Geoff to show you and give you an actual quick demo about how Travel IQ works. So Travel IQ is a software as a service platform that allows agencies to enter and manage road condition reporting events. They can push that immediately to either a Travel IQ website, maybe an existing public website that they might have, a 511 or some traveler information, or out to third parties such as Waze. And the most interesting part about Travel IQ is that it's actually available for agencies to use for free. So I won't belabor a lot of these points in the slides, but it's critical. The critical central system is the event reporting system. Agencies, personnel enter events, manage events, and then those events, they can do that via a laptop or computer, or they can do it via an event reporting mobile application. Those events then are disseminated to the Travel IQ website, the Travel IQ mobile application, or that, as I mentioned, website or Waze API or anything along those lines that agencies might already manage. This is a quick and easy way for agencies to be able to deliver critical incident, planned event, road condition information to their users or to their travelers immediately. And again, like I mentioned, it's available for agencies and municipalities to use for free. So Yannicka, if you'd like to go ahead and make Geoff the presenter, I will relinquish my control here.
Perfect. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Yannicka. So just to quickly give you an overview, we don't have much time left. What we've done is taken our travel information system product and made it free available to potential clients. And it's offered as software as a service. So there is only one platform running across North America. Users log in with a client ID. And what this does is allows agencies, municipalities, cities, or provinces or states to enter specific event traffic information as it relates to their areas to improve road conditions monitoring throughout their network, and to provide that information, especially in the time of COVID, with things starting to open back up, and ensuring that users get real-time verified information. We basically allow the creation of events at the arterial level as well. So you can see if I zoom into any specific area or any roadway or highway, I can add events. So I could add an event on CA 24 East. All this information is shared with surrounding agencies or any agency that signs up to use our platform, as well as can be exported to Waze. We have third-party APIs that can go out to mobile apps or other information as well. Just kind of show you this, save and close. That gets the event saved in the system, and as you can see, it would go out to the public. I'm logged in as IBI group, so I can see all events, and you can see here the editing event, what an event might look like for closing a roadway. And sending that information out to the public. What the main feature is, though, for agencies, and I'm just going to log out and quickly log in. So if I was signed up as the region of Niagara, I can only enter events in Niagara. So you can see here, a few events have been added to Niagara. If I zoom in, I could add it even on Dorchester Road here. Right click, and I can add an event. If I go outside of my region, say I try to go up here towards St. Catharines, all are outside of Niagara. I get an error message that says this is outside of my client region. So this is a means of actually allowing agencies to share information between Hamilton, between Niagara, between York Region, Oakville, York Region, Durham, City of Toronto, along with potentially MTO. And this is just an example at the Ontario scale, but we're also deploying this all across North America to allow agencies to collect data, disseminate data, and share that information with each other. Just kind of show you the area here. So if I look at my client area, this is where I'm allowed to enter events right now because I'm signed up with the region of Niagara. And I'm seeing that I've used up my 10 minutes, so we'll turn it back over to you, Yannicka.
Thank you very, very much. The Travel IQ app, was that the service that it's offering? Was that expanded because of COVID-19?
Yes, that was just recently deployed about a month ago for MTO, the Travel IQ at the 511 app for all of Ontario, along with the French mode was just released as well.
Okay, thank you. And then I have a question. You talked about the mobile app. Does it also work with onboard units in trucks versus mobile phones?
It doesn't work with onboard units. It works on phones, iPads. As currently, that's the only device.
That's in the product roadmap, though. That is in the product roadmap. There's Apple and Google hoops you have to jump through. Then so Apple and Google are blocking those for full integration, but it is absolutely in the product roadmap.
Okay, thank you. So right now, municipalities, regions can sign up for free or
absolutely
for Travel IQ, and
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Complimentary app. Do you then, as a municipality, for example, have the ability to add events as well, or would that be based on a subscription service?
That is based on a subscription service. So for example, if York Region wanted to sign up, they could go on our traveliq.ca website and fill out the form. And it's just a verification process that we make sure that it's a specific government agency signing up, and we give them the credentials, and then they can start entering event traffic information and disseminating that.
And that is free for adding events inside of the Travel IQ system. The adding of and managing of events is free.
Okay, thank you. Those were the questions that I had. So I'm going to give it back to make myself the presenter. Somebody, I can hear somebody talking in the background. Maybe put yourself on mute. So I would like to thank our presenters. Alex, Afra, Geoff, Larry, and Geoff for your presentations today. Thank you very much for all those who attended today's webinar. Our next webinar will be, that says next, should see next webinar will be June 10th, next week, Wednesday, where the National Research Council will provide an overview on their new program called Advanced Transportation Systems Program. The ITS Canada Awards will be virtually celebrated on June 15th, and the webinar recording of today's webinar will be available tomorrow on the ITS Canada website. I thank you all for attending and have a great afternoon. Thank you.